If you know me, then you'll know that one of my biggest hobbies is reading, and as crazy as this sounds, it's taken me on some weird and wonderful adventures. In my opinion, there's nothing better than sitting down with a piece of cake, a hot chocolate, and a book in hand. And so, one of my goals for 2023 was to put that into practice in a beautiful little town called Hay-on-Wye on the outskirts of Hereford in Wales. Here is my vlog from my day trip there. I really hope you enjoy. Grab yourself a drink, get cozy, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this. It's just gone 10 o'clock and we have arrived in Hay-on-Wye. The drive here was actually really nice, quite empty roads, not really much of a motorway, more just of like a country vibe. Our first stop of the day is going to be to go to the Honesty bookshop, just because I think that because it's an honesty one, if there are any good books there, they might leave first thing as more people arrive. And then we're going to walk back towards the outskirts of the town, because as we were driving in there was a sign that said like Hay-on-Wye, Britain's book town or something like that, so we really want to get a picture of that, and then after that we'll see where the day takes us. This is a really small bookshop, but I'm actually really loving this section. There's loads of books that like I've never heard of that just sound really good. I like the sound of this one here. David Baddiel, I don't really know how you say it. G's don't count. I will turn it over so you can pause on the back to read. That definitely sounds like my cup of tea, but just not for $7.99, so I'm going to take a photo of it and see if I can get it elsewhere. We're now in Richard Booth's bookshop, and look at this section of second-hand crime and thrillers. This is the paperback one, and then on the other side there's the hardback, but it literally goes all the way down there. I am so excited. We're so happy because Jess reads this Jeffrey Deaver series and she really struggles to find books anywhere, but look at how many there are here in the second-hand section, and we've not even checked the hardbacks yet. I've also picked up this because I feel like I've heard things about it, and by the back it sounds like one that is on my list, but I don't have any signal here because the second-hand like true crime section is downstairs in the bottom of this chapel. So I'm gonna wait till I'm upstairs, Google a little bit about this to make sure it is what I'm thinking it is, and then I might get it because this is only £3. We've just had to come back to the car to do a little drop off because we've got one bag full, and I also had some in my tote bag, and I think between the two of us, how many books have we got? I've got 7, you've got 3, so between the two of us we've got 10 books already, and I think we've been to 2 proper shops. So our plan now, because we are getting quite tired and it is 12 o'clock to be fair, we're gonna head, oh no it's not, it's actually 25 past 12. We're gonna head back into the town, stop somewhere to get a little drink, maybe even something for lunch, because I'm getting a little bit peckish. Jess is giving me a nod, so we might get some lunch and a little drink to just have a bit of a rest and like feel like book shopping, even though it's so fun. It really hurts your head because you have to read the blurbs all the time, and I'm reading the blurbs at the moment and it's just not going in, so we need a little bit of a refresh and a recharge with some food and drink. So that's going to be the plan now, and then we're going to head to Murder and Mayhem, which is what it says on the tin, like it's a bookshop with murder books and crime books. And then we're also going to go to the Addyman bookshops. I think there's 2 of them, so we're going to head to both of those. And we did also see some charity shops along the way too, so we're not done, we're nowhere near done, but we have got 6 hours left on the car park, so we're not exactly in a rush. So I will carry on bringing you along with me and carry on doing some more damage in bookshops. Okay, I'm not sure when the last time we updated you all was, but it's now 2:15. It's raining, so we're getting a little bit wet, and we're really starting to flag, like our minds just aren't really in it anymore. So we're about to head to the Hay Cinema bookshop, which, as it says in the name, is an old cinema that's now been converted into a bookshop, and this is the largest bookshop in all of Hay-on-Wye. It doesn't look that big, but we are going to go in there and have a little look before we head back to the car. And we're also going to try and get some postcards on the way back to the car too, because we saw a little post office and it looked like they had some little souvenirs. So if I could get a nice little postcard, a cute fridge magnet, then that would be really nice. So final bookshop, and then we're going to start heading back, and hopefully on the way home we'll drive past some sort of pub that we can stop at to get some food, because there's not really anything here that we're fancying. We're really fancying like a nice hot meal, like proper pub grub. So that's going to be the plan. So I'll carry on bringing you along with me, but we've now arrived at the bookshop, so let's go inside and take a look and see what it's like. So as you can see, I am now back home, and I know that this video is a little bit short, so I thought I would end it by showing you a book haul of everything that I picked up in Hay-on-Wye. So I've got all of my books here next to me. There are 9 in total, which I'm kind of like, that's not that many given that I've been to like Britain's book town, but at the same time I'm like, no, I'm very happy with that amount because I didn't want to go overboard. But like I say, I'm going to show you everything that I picked up, and I'm going to do it in order of what I bought them in or what I found them in. So the first 2 actually came from a little free library not too far away from Hay-on-Wye. Actually, I don't know if it was a little free library, but it was basically just a red phone box that had been converted into a book swap in a nearby town, which name I don't actually know, I'm afraid. But I picked up these 2 books, which are actually part of a series. So this is Andrew Raymond's book called Capital Spy, and inside of the phone box there was also another one called Official Secrets, and this series is a 3-part series, so there is another book which wasn't in the red phone box, unfortunately. But I got these 2 because they both sounded amazing, and if I like them then I will obviously purchase the 3rd. But this is basically about Russian spies in Congress and taking them down, uncovering secrets, looking at accidents of deaths and things like that, which sounds like it's really up my street because I watch a lot of documentaries on these things, but I've just never read a book on spies. So I'm really excited to give them a go actually, and obviously they were free because they were from a free library book exchange type thing. But moving on to the ones that I actually got from Hay-on-Wye, as you saw, our first stop was the Honesty bookshop, and the one book that I got from there is called The Rosie Project, and I have been after this for the longest time because in the cupboard I've got The Rosie Result, which is either the 1st or 2nd book in this series. I think it's the 2nd and then this is the 1st, which is why I couldn't read the other one that I've got. But I am trying to buy more second-hand books. I've been keeping my eye out for a copy of this at second-hand. So I was so happy that I found this in the Honesty bookshop. All of the books there were £1, so I paid £1 for this. And I was really, really happy with that. The other one that I picked up is one that I've never heard of before, and I'm not going to lie, I was drawn in by the cover. This is called The Killer by Susan Wilkins, and look how gorgeous the front cover is. I am absolutely entranced by it. I will read you a little bit of the blurb so that you know what it's about. Kaz Phelps is on the run from the past, from the legacy of her criminal family, from the haunting memories of her murdered lover. The police want her back in jail and her enemies want her dead. While standing by the grave of her gangster brother, Kaz realises she only has one option: to fight back. There is quite a bit more, but I feel like that gives a good summary. And again, it was from the Honesty bookshop. This was £1, and it's something that I'm trying to get more into, like reading crime fiction. So I'm really excited to read this as well. These next books that I picked up were from Richard Booth's bookshop, and this was by far my favourite shop out of all the ones we went into in Hay-on-Wye, and I kind of thought it would be because I'd seen bits about this online. It was a really big bookshop, and it was also in a converted chapel, so it looked absolutely stunning. It had lots of its original features, and it had a really nice mixture of new books and second-hand books, and all of these ones that I picked up, I believe, were second-hand, although I'm not entirely sure about this one. This is called Life Support by Jim Down, and I was in two minds whether to buy this or not. I picked it up, I held it for a really long time. It's basically the diary of an ICU doctor on the front line of the COVID crisis, and the reason I was in two minds about buying it is because I don't know if it's too early to read about COVID, like if it's still too close in my memory and I need to leave it a little bit longer. But for whatever reason, when I was carrying it around, I just didn't want to put it down, and it was one of those ones where I thought if I don't buy this I might regret it. So this was actually the most expensive book that I bought throughout all of this haul. This was £5. Like I say, I do believe that it is secondhand, but I'm not 100% sure. What I will say is I had a really extensive medical section upstairs in Richard Booth's, which I was all over and really appreciate. They had some amazing titles up there. So if you read medical type books, I would recommend checking out Richard Booth's. And then also from the same shop, I got this book, which is In Order, no, not In Order to Kill, but Order to Kill. This is one that I've seen a lot about. Again, another spy book, which considering I've never actually read one before, clearly I was in that kind of mood on a day that I went to Hay on Wye. But this one is about a CIA operative finds himself chasing false leads from continent to continent in an effort to keep nukes from falling out into the hands of terrorists. Together with a friend and colleague, Scott Coleman, Rapp struggles to prevent the loss of these lethal weapons, and soon it becomes alarmingly clear that forces in Moscow are hell-bent on creating even more chaos and turmoil in the Middle East. Rapp must go deep into Russian territory, posing as an American ISIS recruit to stop a plan much more dangerous than he ever expected. So I'm very excited to give this a read. It's one that I've seen a lot about, like I say, and I was happy to get it second hand. It was £3.25, which I feel like is maybe a little bit more than what I would have paid for it, but I was in Britain's Booktown and kind of the impulse was there, so I picked this up. And then the last book that I got from Richard Booth's, again, one I've heard a lot about, is Girl A, and I'll also read you the cover of this. So this says, I am Lexi Grace, but they call me Girl A. I grew up with my family on the moors. I escaped when I was 15 years old. And that is literally it. Like, it's a really brief blurb and I feel like it really draws me in. Like I say, I have heard a lot of good reviews about this and I'm very excited to give it a read. I want to start reading more crime fiction, like I say, so I picked this up and this was £3, so I was quite happy with that. I couldn't complain too much. I feel like this could potentially be something that I read quite soon, but we'll see, we'll see. I always am very tempted to read new books as soon as I buy them. And then we've got the last two books, which I will do quite quickly because I've been talking for 8 minutes already. I don't really know how. These two I got from the little like cove next to the Addyman bookshop. I'm not sure which Addyman bookshop it was because there's two of them. I think it was the annex one. Maybe not, I'm not sure. But next to it there was a book passage. I think I showed it in this video anyway. And inside the book passage, all of those books are £1. So we had a really good rummage. There weren't like massive amounts in there that looked like readable. Some of them were quite damaged. But the two that I managed to pick up, I swear they were just hidden gems inside. The first one, I screamed when I pulled this off the shelf because this has been on my TBR list for a while anyway. So I was so happy to find it in there. It's called Everything Is True. And again, it's a junior doctor's diaries and like experiences of times during the pandemic. So even though I said I was in two minds about reading stuff like that, I did pick this up purely because it was £1 and it's something that I've been wanting to read. This is actually the book that I'm currently reading and I am on page 77, so I'm quite a way through. I haven't read it for a while to be honest, but so far I am enjoying it. It's a fairly easy read. The chapters are quite short, so I will be sure to update my Goodreads once I finished it with a proper review and let you guys know what I think. And then the last one is actually one that Jess found, but then she decided that she didn't want it and I was like, I am not going to pass up on this opportunity. I've never ever heard of this book, but it's called I Can't Breathe by Matt Taibbi or Taibbi. I'm not entirely sure how you pronounce that. But the reason Jess didn't want this is because I've already given her my copy of The Hate U Give after I read that, which is an amazing book by the way, and this one seems very similar to The Hate U Give. So Jess hasn't read that yet. She said she'll read that first and then she could read this afterwards once I'm finished with it, so we'll do a little bit of a book swap. But this was £1 in the book passage, so again I was like, I'm not going to miss that opportunity. I'm going to pick that up. I don't think it's one that I'm going to read straight away because I have recently like read and watched The Hate U Give, but I would definitely give this a read at some point, so I'm very happy that I managed to get this for only £1. But those were all of the books that I managed to pick up on my day to Hay on Wye. Like I said, I am very happy with the amount that I got. I feel like it was perfect, and it's definitely going to keep me busy for a while. Let me know if you've ever visited Hay on Wye and what you thought about it. I also posted a TikTok vlog of this day out over on my TikTok, so be sure to come and check that out. A lot of people said that there was a town in Scotland called Wigtown, I think it was, that is also like Scotland's version of Hay on Wye. So maybe one day I'll add that to my list of places that I would like to check out, and that can be on my goals to go and explore at some point. But I do really hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, then please don't forget to give it a like, comment and subscribe down below. And other than that, happy reading, and I look forward to seeing you very soon in the next video. Thanks for watching and goodbye.